All right, so as I said, that has turned off people's cameras and microphones, but it will be recorded, and along with any other comments received by the commission, it'll become part of the case's public file so that commission members, staff, and parties in the cases, as well as the public, can see and consider the comments. The recording will be available in EPUC, which is available at epuc.vermont.gov, and you can also find it from the Commission's website. As the public comments do not become part of the formal evidence in these cases, but they can be helpful in raising new issues or perspectives that the Commission should consider. So the Commission and I, being here on their behalf, look forward to hearing your input. So because I did not start the recording right when I started speaking, I'm going to go and repeat that this is a Vermont Public Utility Commission public hearing in case number 26-0484-TF concerning the tariff filing of the Swanton Village Incorporated Electric Department, requesting an overall 30.28% increase in rates to be effective with service rendered on and after May 1st, 2026. And again, my name is Jacob Davis, and I am the hearing officer on behalf of the Vermont Public Utility Commission hearing this case. Okay, so with all that out of the way, and thank you for dealing with the recording. That's a new kind of consenting to recording, turning off all the microphones and cameras and whatnot is new, at least on our end. So with all that being said, I am happy to hear any public comment on the rate increase. If you would like to make a comment, you're welcome to turn on your camera if you want to do that. You don't have to do that. You can turn your microphone on. You can raise your hand if there's a lot of comments to come in, and I will just call on people as they kind of make clear they want to comment. And we'll hear your comments and then move on to the next person. So would anyone like to give a public comment first? I'm not hearing anyone providing a public comment. I just want to note again that the starting the recording did mute all microphones. So you might have been expecting that you were unmuted, but now you are muted. So I just want to mention again that you'll need to unmute if you would like to provide a public comment.
Yes, sir. I'm calling in. I apologize. I don't have access to a computer at the moment. But as a resident of Swanton, my biggest concern is how the rate hike is going to affect the industry in Swanton, and how the negative impact that's going to have on keeping doors open for people that are in businesses that are struggling to stay afloat.
Excuse me, if you wouldn't mind, would you mind providing your name for the record? You do not have to, but it would just make it easier to, kind of reference your comment.
Sure. This is Terrence O'Brien, and I'm in the town of Swanton.
Thank you very much. Would anyone like to provide comment at this time?
Hi, this is Siobhan Cooper, Swanton Village resident. I would just like to say that this 30.28% increase is going to be a lot on the ratepayers. It's also on top of the rate that was increased last year, and then the possible rate increase when they do the bond vote for the building. I know that's separate from the Utility Commission, but like, this is going to be a lot on the people. It's a lot on me. I know it's a lot on other people. And I'd just like to say that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments? Feel free to comment.
This is Monica Green. I am not a resident, but I am a business owner. My business is Vermont Precision Tools. We've been in Swanton since 1968. We've had the luxury of having Vermont or the Swanton Electric with probably better than average or better rates in Swanton than elsewhere in Vermont for a very long time. So we have benefited from that. We are probably one of the bigger users. I mentioned before this that our spend is about $500,000. So we are seeing a substantial increase with a 30% rate adjustment, which apparently, as I understand it, will be retroactive back to June 1st if this is approved. My only concern is such a large jump, and it probably brings us more in line with other ratepayers. However, in one jump, 130% increase for businesses, that is not something that we can easily pass along. So it's having to absorb. It's a big impact when you look at the overall inflationary costs in addition to that. So and obviously that electricity comes with additional sales tax, and so it is essentially a plus plus when you look at the overall cost. So doing a 30% in one jump it's going to be difficult for a company like myself or others in the community.
Thank you very much. As I said, feel free to, if you have any public comments, feel free to jump in when appropriate. Please state your name if you choose to and provide any comments you have.
Hey, my name is Pamela Woodward. I live in Swanton Town. And, you know, a whole new perspective on how this is affecting businesses, but I'm a single income household. And I understand the logistics behind why this rate increase is needed, but it's a tremendous burden on people who are already struggling to make ends meet. I mean, with the previous increase, you know, I've had to pay my utility bill in installments because I can't afford to pay it all at once. So just throwing my 2 cents in, it's going to be rough. 30.28% is it's a huge jump. And it's going to create a hardship for my household, which is me. So I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Ellen O'Brien, and I just kind of want to echo what the last person was saying. We're in a tremendous rise in our economy and the prices that we're facing at the pumps, in the grocery stores. We already have families that are living one paycheck away from bankruptcy. And a 30% increase at one time may not seem like much to some people, but that is crippling to some families in our community and some businesses in our community. And I think that should be taken into consideration. It's a lot of increased prices over the year of 2026, and this is just adding insult to injury.
Thank you very much.
Hi, um, my name's AJ LaRosa. I'm here on behalf of a business that is looking at something like a $30,000 increase per year for their electric bills across 3 properties they own. And that's a very substantial increase that ultimately gets passed on to consumers and is a major dent in a challenging economic environment. And I think their principal concern is how we got here. I understand that there was a rupture. I understand that there's a lower production, but there seems to be some coverage for a failure to diligently maintain the system or failure to adequately insure it or contingency plan. And I think that's a particular concern because the idea that you can sort of just tap the public to cover that is challenging, and the information provided sort of glosses over how you have a broken system without a plan that takes less than 5 years to fix it. And, did something go wrong? Is it out of warranty? Is there no insurance for the part or the piece? I mean, that raises some pretty substantial concerns, and, would strongly ask that the DPS investigate this as part of the investigation. It's not in the view of this business that it's acceptable to say, well, it broke and this is now, $30,000 more, 30% rate increase across the board covers it. I understand there's a difficult situation. I understand that you may be in a difficult situation, but that seems like tapping the public whenever you can for whatever you need. I think that needs to be looked at pretty closely.
Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Catherine Gordon. I live in Swanton Town with my husband, Joseph. I just kind of wanted to agree with the former commenter that I think with a substantial rate increase, I think there also needs to be accountability. Meaning, if we got to this point, is there a plan in place to focus on one, how to reduce rates in the future? And also, two, if you're going to make such a substantial jump during a time when everything is jumping, so it's economically a really terrible time, that there has to be some flexibility in payment plan or payment systems. Like, that's what I would like to see for folks. If they're struggling to pay their bill, can there be some sort of flexible payment plan that you're not going to be like, oh, okay, we're going to shut off your utilities. So I just wanted to add that for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll take this brief pause to just note that I saw a member of the public commented in the chat. I the I can't directly respond to comments because the goal of this portion of the public hearing is to receive comments from the public and take them back to the commission. But if anyone would prefer to leave a comment in the chat rather than speak, that is definitely an option, and I'm happy to. Those will be recorded as well, and then I am also taking notes during this hearing, and we'll note down any of those comments as well. So if that was something any member of the public would like to do, you're welcome to do that. And now I will be quiet again and open the floor for further public comments. I'll just note that I'm not hearing any comments in case someone with technology as it is today is muted, but thinks maybe they're not. You might still be muted. I'm not hearing any comments right now. So please feel free to provide any comments you have. Gonna give it another 45 seconds or so. I won't cut anyone off. If you have comments, this is your time. Please feel free to make them. I just don't want to keep people here longer than we need to be. But I'll just wait a little bit here and see if anyone else has a comment. All right, I'm not seeing any additional comments. There is still time to comment if anyone wants to, but I want to once again just mention that you can leave a comment in the chat if you would like to, rather than speaking. You also are always welcome and encouraged to leave comments on EPUC, our Electronic Public Utility Commission platform for this case. The case number is again 26-0484-TF, and you can find the case and leave public comments that way. You can reach out to the Public Utility Commission via email, calling, via regular mail. You're always welcome to provide comments on this or any other cases. So this is far from your only opportunity to leave public comments. So if there are other avenues you or people you know would like to make use of, please do so. All right, I'm not seeing any additional comments right now, so I'll start the process of. Oh, I see a comment just came in the chat. I'm putting that in my notes now. Thank you.
Not long. Wow, what's up? Doing
Uh,
well.
Excuse me, I'm hearing Alexander LaRosa. Just want to let you know you are off mute. All right, I'm not hearing any comments coming through. We got someone joining. Let's just see. All right, I saw someone calling in just joined. If there are any additional public comments, please feel free to go ahead and comment. I'm just going to put in the chat myself here the information for providing written comments, and this is on the commission's website as well. But you are welcome to provide written comments in addition to the time this evening to provide comments.
This is Pamela Woodward again. Just one final comment. You know, I see how many people have joined, and it's just unfortunate that the residents of Swan did not take advantage of this opportunity to speak up, because I know I'm not the only one that feels like this is going to be a tremendous financial burden, as others have spoken, you know, with grocery prices going up and the prices of everything going up. So it's just unfortunate that more people did not take advantage of this opportunity, because I know there are many others in this community that feel the same way I do, that this is going to be, it's going to be tough to maintain. It's going to be tough to make the payments. So there's that.
Thank you very much.
My name is Amanda. I just joined. I'm sorry, I've missed probably most of the meeting, but I also second that our bill jumped. I don't know if the price hike has started yet, but our bill jumped from 100 to 170 in the last month, and we've had no changes. So that'll definitely take a constraint on pretty much every household in the town of Swanton.
Thank you very much. The floor is still open for any public comments. I will just note, which I imagine was already noted before, the commission's public hearing portion of this meeting began, but questions for either Swanton Village Incorporated Electric Department or the Department of Public Service can I cannot answer those questions as this is a contested case before the Public Utility Commission, but those questions can be directed toward the Department of Public Service and or Swanton Electric. If anyone from the department or Swanton Electric would be open to staying on after this to address those questions, that would be great. If not, I know people can reach out through kind of the normal channels. The floor is still open for public comment. I see we have several people continue to arrive, so I'm going to keep the meeting going to accommodate any additional comments. Thank you, Ben Civiletti, for what you put in the chat. for anyone who cannot read the chat, if you're calling in or something, a representative of the Vermont Department of Public Service will stay at the close of the hearing if there are any additional questions. Are there any additional comments from the public at this time? Please feel free to speak up. Or to post a comment in the chat. You're welcome to do that as well. I see a question in the chat asking if there will be another Public Utility Commission public hearing on this case, and there is not currently one scheduled. It is always possible for there to be more than one. I do encourage anyone who wants to leave a comment to after this public hearing to do so by directing the commission directly through the commission's email. Information is on the website, or by going to the case itself directly and leaving a public comment on the case, which will be visible to anyone that looks at the case. If there is significant interest in an additional public hearing, it is possible to do that as well.
Have we looked into alternative ways to get electricity up into that area? I'm thinking about Green Mountain Power or the power company in Canada, which we already purchase electricity from. Is it more feasible for us to purchase electricity than to repair the old dam in the old building?
Excuse me, the person who was just commenting, asking about procurement of power. Because this is a contested case, and I'm the hearing officer, I'm kind of like a judge on behalf of the Public Utility Commission, so I can't answer any questions about the substance of the case itself. I can just answer things kind of about like the process of the case or things of that nature. So that type of question is a great question to direct toward either Swanton Electric or the Vermont Department of Public Service. I know at least one member of the Department of Public Service or representative was going to stay to answer any questions after the public hearing portion of this is wrapped up. But you're always welcome to reach out to, of course, your utility, the Department of Public Service, or the Public Utility Commission. I see another question in the chat asking how long does the PUC take to finalize these cases, and what does contested case mean? So those are great questions. I apologize for using the term contested case without explaining what that is. So in effect, like a kind of a legal case. If you've watched a courtroom thriller, Law and Order kind of thing, you've got the prosecutor and the defense, and then you've got the judge. In that sort of setting, um, the analogy would be that the two parties that are involved in the case would be the electric utility, in this case, Swanton Electric, and the Vermont Department of Public Service, which represents the state of Vermont and advocates on behalf of consumers. And then the judge is the Vermont Public Utility Commission, of which I am a hearing officer hearing the case on behalf of the Public Utility Commission. And so when I say contested case, I mean that Swanton Electric comes with their case, their rationale, argument, and evidence for the rate increase, and the Vermont Department of Public Service comes with their view of how what the ultimate rate increase, if any, should be. And then they both provide their evidence in the form of usually written documents. And then the Vermont Public Utility Commission ultimately will decide on the rate increase. So that is the way in which it is contested. In terms of how long does the PUC take to finalize the cases, in the state of Vermont, by law, there is a 7-month deadline for the case being concluded after the investigation starts. The investigation for this one started on April 30th of this year. So that would mean by November 30th, if nothing else, if no changes are made, that would be the final date the Public Utility Commission would have to make its decision. Hopefully that answers those questions.
Hello? I don't think they can hear me.
Hi, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to make a statement. I, for one, agree with the previous callers. When things don't go right or something is mismanaged, the public ends up paying for it. There are many of us who cannot afford all these high rates. It's just too much. It's not just the electrical, it's the water, sewer. And yet they continue spending and building, and they expect the public to be responsible to pay for everything. They say they have bills to pay. We do too. We don't, some of us can't get out and get a part-time job because of illness or age or whatever it may be. So this is a big hike, and they are not willing to work with people. They nothing is fair. It's always put on the customer's back, and I just hope that you all take a good look at it and think of those of us that may not get the big raise once a year through Social Security to keep up with everything else that's going up much more than what we get for a raise. There's a lot of people hurting, and we know that a lot of people like to say that. Even those that are not hurting will say it, but there really truly is in this county. I mean, we're not the people in Swanton, there's a lot of people that are not well off financially, and every little bit hurts. And when you keep getting hikes and everything, what are you supposed to do? What's a person gonna do? If they can't afford it, they can't afford it. And it's a problem. I'm just hoping, that this is looked at and something good comes out of all of this. That's it. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
This is Pamela Woodward again.
Yes.
Oh,
thank you.
sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So just circling back to the timeline that the decision can be made on what the rate increase will be. So you're saying that you have until November to make a decision. And I'm not sure you can answer this, but if a decision is made in November, will the rates be retroactive? Or are we going to pay the 30.28% until then and then get a refund? I'm just curious, how does this all work? If a decision is not made until November, what happens in between now and then?
Yes, that is a great question. So in the state of Vermont, municipal electric utilities may, even if the Public Utility Commission opens an investigation into a rate increase, the utility may institute the rate increase as what's called a surcharge. So just applying that percentage to the bill, and collect it as soon as 45 days after the filing of the request for a rate increase. So upon the final resolution of the case, whether an increase is ultimately approved, whatever the amount is, that would be, as you said, able to be refunded if the approved rate increase was less than the requested rate increase. That could be that would or must be refunded if the ultimate rate increase was lower. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, perfect answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. Does anyone else have, more people joining? So for anyone who has joined since the last time I mentioned it, this is a Public Utility Commission public hearing. This is expressly for the public to be able to provide comments about the proposed rate increase by Swanton Electric. You are welcome to provide comments at any time. So please feel free to do so. You may do so in the chat in written form, or you may do so by unmuting yourself and providing a comment. Just as a additional note, this meeting is being recorded so that it can be preserved for the commission and others to view it in the future.
Yes, I have a question. Between now and November, where is the electricity coming from? And how much of an increase or decrease in our bills will there be during these next 6 months?
So that is the type of question that I cannot answer directly, but the Swanton Electric and the Department of Public Service have both agreed to stay after the hearing to answer questions of that type that I am not allowed to answer and don't know the answer to either in this case.
Also, how much does the Canadian company who is providing electric to us now is involved with this increase?
So again, I cannot answer questions of that type, but after the public hearing is concluded and I leave, then the Swanton Electric and the Vermont Department of Public Service can potentially answer questions about the case, about the substance of the case itself.
It doesn't really sound like you're prepared for these questions. Is there going to be another public hearing so that we can ask these questions and get the answers that we need?
So it is not that I am not prepared, it's that I'm not allowed to answer these questions. As I mentioned before, the Public Utility Commission and me being the hearing officer on their behalf I'm like a judge in this case, so I can't answer on behalf of the parties in the case. At 6:30 this evening, there was a public information session before the public hearing itself began, where questions could be asked after the Swanton Electric and the Department of Public Service have both agreed to stay on after, depending on when we wrap up, I'm sure, but to answer questions of that type as well. So it's simply that I'm not able to answer those questions.
Are we going to be able to vote, or is this going to be public service voting on this and we don't have any say in it whatsoever? This is just a hollow meeting.
I will answer that in part, which is to say that that Swanton Electric has asked for this rate increase to be approved by the Vermont Public Utility Commission. The Vermont Public Utility Commission is a 3-member body that is appointed that does not include me. I am a hearing officer on their behalf, but they will decide on the rate increase. It is not a public vote at this point.
Okay. Do you know if the Canadian company that we're buying electricity from now is involved in this at all?
I cannot answer that question, and I do not know the answer.
Okay, because I think these are things that the public who's purchasing this and is going to pay this increase have a right to know. Are we going to be getting electricity from Green Mountain until November, or more electricity from Canada?
That answer will have to wait until after the public hearing. Does anyone have a public comment?
Thank you.
Hi, yes, Siobhan Cooper again. I wrote this in the chat, but I wanted to know if the Public Utilities Commission would acknowledge and take into consideration a door-to-door petition of ratepayers on whether or not they agree with this change or are against it. Is that something that can be done and acknowledged?
The Public Utility Commission will acknowledge all public comments that are received. There is not, if you're asking kind of if there's like a legal or kind of like statute or like ordinance related to petitions, there is not in that kind of way, but the investigation itself into this rate increase is one of the things it provides is an opportunity for the public to comment and note if there are things about the rate increase that the commission should weigh. So that is hopefully that partially answers your question, but there's no direct mechanism for a petition in that sense, but the commission will hear all of the comments from the public about the rate increase. And I
Okay, I understand.
Sorry, what was that?
I was saying I understand that, but if I were to literally go door to door to get more public feedback and create a petition asking, ratepayers with getting their names, their addresses, their yes or no, and their reasons, and submit that to the PUC, would that be accepted?
it would be accepted in the sense that the commission would look at it and view the document.
Okay, and then one further question. Say hypothetically in November, you approve this rate increase. Is there any motive of appeal for the public?
This goes a bit beyond the case itself, but I'll kind of answer somewhat, which is that the Public Utility Commission has the authority to ensure rates are just and reasonable. And so if there was a reason that the rates were not just and reasonable, further down the road, whether that be potentially too high or potentially too low, then the commission does have the authority to essentially institute another investigation at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to note, I should have mentioned this earlier on, but all of the documentation, the recording of this public hearing, the evidence provided by Swanton Electric, the evidence provided by the Vermont Department of Public Service, all of that is available to the public. Nothing typically that I or the commission will see is private or confidential information. It is all public information that is available under the case number in our electronic case management system called EPUC. So that's again under case number 26-0484-TF. All of the information that I currently have access to about this case and this investigation is available for anyone to review themselves as well.
If I have a question, if we find that our bills are not raised during these next 6 months, do we have to repair the building in Highgate, the dam and the new electrical building? Can we just stay with what we have?
Not the dam.
That's so again, that's not something I can speak to, but perhaps Swanton Electric would be able to speak to that after the public hearing portion of this meeting.
What is it going to cost them to repair the dam and the bladder? Do we have any idea
Swanton
yet?
Village opposite.
That's a question for the village itself.
I have a question. If this rate goes through, when can they ask for another rate increase?
By Vermont law, there is no like limitation on rate increases or decreases other than they have to be approved by the Vermont Public Utility Commission. So it would just presumably be when it is just and reasonable to have a change in the rate. So there's no like firm timeline that is affected by rate increases or decreases or approvals.
Is there a certain limit that is allowed? Like if this one goes through, and they request another one next year, is there such a thing as a cap as to how much they can ask so soon after another increase, a previous?
My understanding is that there's nothing in the law speaking to that under the typical rate change mechanism. So the idea is simply that the rates are what they need to be to support just and reasonable service, and that can change. So there is no kind of statutory limit in that way.
So, is there so much of the increase, as they were saying, some of it goes toward, raises every year? Is there a cap on that as far as how much is allowed to go towards, their salaries? A portion of the asking percentage?
In Vermont state law, there's nothing to that effect, but there may be things in Swanton uh, Village ordinance or other things that I do not know, and it would be a question best directed to them.
Okay,
I'd like to
Thank
make a
you.
comment. This is Amanda again. The current timing, like we're currently in effect with this 30.28% increase, and as we're getting into our hot season and people are using more waters to try to lower their costs and their grocery bills and like help themselves out, but we're only getting more cost in the long run for using our electric or our water system because we're built in a water sewer electric in one company. Do they at any point take into consideration how it affects the people in the community who already can't afford to live in the community, or the people who are already priced out because they're trapped in with taxes that are too high? It's hard to believe that as we're already struggling as a community that they are not taking those things into consideration as far as where their community stand is and seeing and being able to know what's going on around them, to be able to figure out better ways to pay for the dam repairs other than to jack the rate of the power up because everybody needs power. People need it to survive.
Thank you for your comment. I am not able to answer kind of the more general question, but again, the Swan Electric may better be able to answer that after the public hearing portion of this meeting.
Will
Thank
that
you.
portion also be recorded?
Not by me. It will not.
Has anyone checked in to see if there's any federal funding that would help to stay out with this kind of a project rather than to bill the homeowners?
I can't answer that, but possibly that can be answered after the public hearing portion.
Is the Swanton Village also recording this meeting? I would just like to ensure that all the questions that are asked after the Public Utility Commission is done has a record. There's an imprint and a record of it.
We have not been recording. This is Bill Sheets for the record. We have not been recording to this point. I think we have that capability of doing that when the PUC meeting concludes, but we're checking on that right now, Siobhan.
Thank you, Bill. One other thing while I'm here. From the last meeting I was at, I think it was in January or so, it was my understanding that with rate increases, if a utility has not had a rate increase in 10 years, they're able to ask for a rate increase without an investigation, which is the rate increase that we got last year. It didn't have to go through an investigation. But I mean, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's in that meeting. And this was recorded on my Facebook Live, and it wasn't I who shared it to the Public Utility Commission's comment section, but somebody did reshare my Facebook Live video to the PUC's public comments. So if you go onto the PUC website and look at all the public comments, you will see that video in there. But yeah, that was my understanding, is that if you haven't had a rate increase in 10 years, you're allowed to ask for one, usually 3% or so. And it's usually approved without an investigation because it had been so long.
So I can answer that, which is that by law, and it's in Title 30, Section 218 DN. If anyone wants to look at it, but there's a provision in the law that allows for a rate increase of up to 3%, using kind of an expedited process. As you pointed out, that is, it is not that the increase happens no matter what, as long as it's been 10 years. It's that the there must have been what's called a full rate case, which is like this one, that has happened within the last 10 years. And then there must also be the rate increase can't be more than 3%. And then the cumulative total of rate increases of that type, which can only happen once per year, cannot exceed 10% total cumulatively. So there can't be a more than rates cannot go up by 10% or more, or rather more than 10% that way without kind of the complete rate case. And again, that's Title 30, Section 218 DN is where that is in Vermont law.
Thank you.
My question is, have we already retained engineers and stuff like that to start that project? And if we have, who else have we already engaged in to start this project? And where's that money coming from to pay them?
So that's another question that will have to be directed towards Swanton Electric after the public hearing portion of this meeting. Are there any other public comments?
I feel like your electricity is, how does our electricity compare with the companies, the rest of the companies in the state of Vermont? Our rates.
So I can't comment on that directly, but information is available online, and also that's a great thing that the Department of Public Service will likely be able to speak to.
Could we possibly have another conference? I don't care if it's a phone conference or something like this, when we have some of those people available that can answer these questions?
So the Department of Public Service and Swanton Electric are both available. Just the portion of the meeting right now that I'm here for and recording is only for public comment to be taken to the Public Utility Commission. And so those people are here. They were here before the public hearing started, and they'll be here after because they have volunteered to do so, and I appreciate that. But so those people are available to answer those questions. It's just that's not what this portion of the this current meeting is for. It's for public comments and questions about the process of how the rate case works before the Public Utility Commission, rather than questions about practices and reasons for rate increases and things of that nature.
I think it's safe to say anybody who's getting electricity from Swanton Electric is not happy about a 30.28% increase. I don't think we needed to hold a forum to figure that out. I mean, that's a lot of money, and people with families can't afford to pay that. it's above and beyond what a family should be expected to pay for an increase in 1 year, especially if you had an increase last year. That's my comment.
Thank you very much. Any other public comments? All right, I'm not seeing any, and so I'm going to start wrapping up this public hearing portion of the meeting because I think there are a lot of great questions that will be great to get answers to that I cannot provide. And so one last time, you are welcome to provide written comments via email or in the cases themselves. This is available on the EPUC platform, which I provided a link to earlier in the chat at epuc.vermont.gov. And you can search for this case, which is case number 26-0484-TF. And you will be able to see both all of the public information that's available in the case, filed by either Swanton Electric or the Department of Public Service. You'll be able to leave public comments there as well in written form. And you can also use the contact information for the commission to call, write an email, or mail in comments as well. I see a comment urging the commission to have a second hearing after more residents have received perhaps bills that reflect the current surcharge of the requested rate increase. I will discuss that with the parties later. I think that's a good idea. And I can look into doing that. With that being said, I'll give one last opportunity for public comments while I'm here. And if not, I will go ahead and wrap up this portion of the meeting. All right, so I've recorded all the comments from the chat. The recording will be available on the Public Utility Commission website again at this case number 26-0484-TF. So there will be a record of this meeting. I greatly appreciate everyone that came to provide a comment or to listen. I also appreciate the Department of Public Service and Swanton Electric being willing to stay and answer additional questions, and for the time that was spent answering questions before I hopped on. I hope everyone did all right with the storms today, and I hope you all have a good rest of your evening. With that, I will adjourn the public hearing portion of this meeting and end the recording, and then I will be leaving the meeting. Thank you all very much.